connection is available to Metro North.
Hello everyone, today is February 14, 2019, Valentine's Day. It's around 42 degrees Fahrenheit and I am at the Grand Central Station, 42nd Street. This is one of the busiest subway stops in the system, and if you're getting off the 7 train going to 34th Street Hudson Yards, towards the front of the train is the escalator, so it's better to use the front of the train if you want to exit the station quickly. Just a little tip from a native New Yorker. It's proper etiquette here to pass on the left and wait on the right if you're using the escalator. It is rush hour right now, and we'll see a lot of people coming out here. A lot of lively entertainment here. So this escalator here goes into Grand Central Terminal, which is home to many passenger railroads such as Metro North, so just some quick notes about Grand Central Terminal. It was built, I believe, in the 1800s, and it was under threat of destruction after the Pennsylvania station was torn down. But after that happened, the Landmarks Preservation Commission was created and Grand Central Terminal was saved. But today I'm not going to be walking through Grand Central Terminal, but on 42nd Street. So I'm exiting on 42nd Street right now. That way is towards the East River and Lexington Avenue. And I'll be walking towards the Hudson River, which is on the west side. So this is an M42 bus. It goes cross town all the way along 42nd Street. Notoriously slow because of all the traffic here. And this is the famous Park Avenue and the Pershing Square Viaduct. Vehicles pass on this viaduct to go around Grand Central Terminal. And here you can see the marvelous artwork. Thousands of people pass through this terminal every day to get to destinations further away, such as upstate New York, Connecticut, even areas as far as Canada. So if you've never been to New York before, I'm sure this is very overwhelming. They call it the Grand Canyon of steel and concrete. So I'm just gonna take a pit stop here and show you what's happening here with Valentine's. $20 for a dozen roses of different colors and $25 for a dozen roses of red. Those are actually less expensive than what I've seen in florist shops. I've seen $30 for a dozen, and also as much as $40 for a dozen for a bouquet. If you're in the area, a pro tip, if you have a Costco membership, they have plenty of roses on sale and they're only $16.99 a dozen. I've yet to see a cheaper price on roses. So this is Madison Avenue, historically home to the advertising industry. Although less so in recent years, but it's still home to many big businesses such as PwC over there, Price Waterhouse, the gigantic accounting firm. Madison Avenue is uptown only for vehicles. So a little bit chaotic walking here. People don't really stay to the right or the left. You just kind of have to like find an open space and move between. That's just the way it is in New York. It's interesting that the city has these little kind of maps for people so they can see where people are going without using your phone. You have the Chrysler Building, Grand Central Terminal, which you just came from. And right now, I'm headed west towards Bryant Park, Times Square, and the river. Here's another entrance to the Grand Central subway station, although it's a little bit far from the main entrance. This bus here, the SIM22, is an express bus. It makes local stops along 42nd Street and Midtown and then heads express into Staten Island, making no stops in between. It is a little bit more pricey than the subway, which is $2.75. The express bus, I believe, costs $7.50. But it is a more comfortable ride as you get plush seats. So I'm approaching 5th Avenue. 5th Avenue is one of the world's largest shopping streets. Between here and 59th Street, you have a lot of stores such as Uniqlo and Louis Vuitton and high-end retailers. Bergdorf Goodman. You can check out my 5th Avenue video for a walk down there if you wish. Here is the main branch of the New York Public Library, which marks the beginning of Bryant Park. Now technically the library takes up about 1/4 of the park, but people don't really consider it part of the park because the library is on top. But Bryant Park stretches an entire block from 5th Avenue to 6th Avenue. There really wasn't a name for the park up until the 1900s when it was named after William C. Bryant. And over the years, it actually deteriorated. There was a lot of drug use here and shady stuff going on, prostitutes and other kinds of things, especially back in the 70s. It was popularly known as Needle Park among the locals. but starting in the 1980s, it kind of started to turn around. The city, I'll wait till this noise passes. The city enacted a public-private partnership with the Bryant Park Foundation. Now the park is home to many free events and has different themes throughout the months. Right now during the winter, they have the Winter Village, where you can get free ice skating and different pop-up shops of goodies you can buy. During the spring and summer, the ice skating rink becomes a lawn. I won't be going here in this video, but you can check out another one of my Bryant Park videos where I've done it in the winter and the springtime. Now here's a very unique New York City sidewalk. You rarely see sidewalks this clean. As you can see, there's still a lot of construction going on, whether it's above ground or underground. This here looks like a project by the Department of Environmental Protection, meaning it has something to do with the water mains or sewers. New York has a very aging infrastructure. Some of these pipes are hundreds of years old.
And it's like
a store closing sale.
It's like called like something like.
It costs a lot of overhead to have a business and a storefront on 42nd Street. Just take a look at this, completely empty. I'm starting to see that around New York some more. To the left of me is the Whole Foods Market on 6th Avenue and 42nd Street, recently opened up. Here's 6th Avenue. Not too far from here, a few blocks north, is Rockefeller Center between 47th Street and 49th Street. Here I'm going to angle the camera a little bit up. That's the Empire State Building. Right now this is a busy intersection, so the city has some traffic agents here to help direct the flow of things. Here's 1 Bryant Park, otherwise known as the Bank of America Tower. The fastest way to get up there is by elevator. That is, unless you're Spider-Man. So now you know why this bus is frequently slow, because it takes a long time just for people to pay to get on. The city has been trying to remedy that a little bit by expanding something known as the Select Bus Service, which has people pay before they get on the bus. Not only that, but those buses have 2 or 3 doors which open at the same time and to let people on. Here's an FDNY vehicle making its way down 42nd Street. Or stopping here. Across the street from me is the Knickerbocker Hotel, which is very famous for its architecture. There's also a rooftop bar there. It's a very good way to see the city without paying the exorbitant fees that places like the Empire State Building or the One World Trade Center Observatory would charge. Just go to a rooftop bar. You can pay the cover charge, support them by buying a few drinks, and you have a great view without paying a lot of money. This is the H&M building at Times Square, and we are entering Times Square right now. This is Broadway. Times Square used to be named Longacre Square because it was a major horse and carriage district. It was actually named after Longacre in London, which also had a similar industry. So those people there are asking for sightseeing buses, which you don't need if you're watching this video, because I'm basically a sightseer right here. So Times Square is made up of two triangles. The southern triangle has no official name, but the northern triangle is named as Father Duffy Square. So Longacre Square, which used to be Times Square, officially got its name when the New York Times Company, the major newspaper and publishing company, moved to the area in the early 1900s. Of course, they're not here anymore. Now it's a big advertising district and lights all over the place. Hey, what's up? So this is 7th Avenue. Up there you can get many Broadway shows and tickets and many more retail establishments if you wish. It's also probably the most famous place in New York City after, you know, I think it is the most famous place in New York City. I was going to say Central Park, but I would say that's a close second. Here's the subway. You can basically get any kind of train here to go uptown or across town or downtown. So here's the new Victory Theater. Right now it's home to Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which has two parts, parts 1 and 2. There's often a line for these tickets and you need to pay for both parts, so there it is, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. The flashiest McDonald's in New York City, across the street. An interesting note about Broadway and the entertainment district. New York City is loud. I'm sure you can all figure that out by now. So Broadway doesn't refer to the location of the theaters, but actually the size. The size of the theater determines whether a show is on Broadway or off Broadway or not. A little bit of a tip here, these I Love New York gift stores, most of them overinflate their prices. You can get much cheaper souvenirs and gifts down in places like Chinatown or even places in the outer boroughs. Sometimes you'll even see people peddling wares on the street which are cheaper. Here's a frequent sight you see, a New York City police agent giving a ticket to UPS. Although I don't know about the legitimacy of that ticket, because they say it's for no standing anytime except for commercial vehicles. So across the street is the AMC Theater at Times Square. Right now I am exiting Times Square. This is 8th Avenue. I'm actually going across the street here just to show you a little bit of the madness which happens during rush hour at that building across the street from me that I'm facing right now. So if you don't know, that building is the Port Authority bus terminal. It is the busiest transportation hub in the United States. Thousands and thousands of buses come and pass through here every day, going anywhere from Massachusetts, Maine, Canada, upstate New York, New Jersey, even Florida. For many, this is one of the most convenient ways to get into New York City. This bus terminal actually occupies an entire city block. Actually two, from 40th Street to 42nd and between 8th and 9th Avenues. This bus terminal was expanded throughout the years and throughout its history. It actually needs to become bigger, but there really isn't the space for it. And any kind of little infrastructure change disrupts thousands of people's commutes. So it's not advisable to just make drastic changes like that. So right here is a city bike station. It's the official bike share system of New York City. You can purchase a day pass for $12, which is unlimited half-hour rides. And also the annual membership is $169. I'm getting a lot of people waving to me here today and excited to be on camera. Always good to see that. So there's the Holy Cross Church.
No, you didn't.
Here's some sidewalk scaffolding, known to the locals more commonly as sidewalk sheds, because construction regulations require them to be up whenever there's any kind of little maintenance done to the exterior due to liability issues. Here's a New York waterway ferry. It's free to anyone using the waterways between the Hudson River and the East River. On the East River, there are ferries which run along the length of Manhattan and also going towards Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx now, which just recently opened up a route. Here's something where you can't go wrong unless you may be skeptical about the health issues. from a 99-cent pizza slice. But I've had 99-cent pizza slices before. I've never gotten sick from it, so you would think it's a little bit scary to have pizza slices that inexpensive, but they make it work. If you come to New York, you have to try pizza. It's a staple. So I just passed 9th Avenue. There isn't really much going on over here other than the Lincoln Tunnel, which is the next block or so. The Lincoln Tunnel travels between Manhattan and New Jersey, effectively connecting the two states. There is a toll involved, and it's only open for motor vehicles. Here's someone holding roses for Valentine's Day. There is the Lincoln Tunnel entrance. Regular vehicles can't enter here, only buses. This part of 42nd Street is actually more residential as you head towards the Hudson River. Here's some more flowers for sale. Those flowers actually don't look too bad. Some places the flowers are already wilting. I know it must be tough for many of these businesses who purchase these flowers and they have to get rid of them today, otherwise they won't be able to sell them tomorrow. Who wants to get after Valentine's Day flowers? If you're unfamiliar with the holiday, Valentine's Day is the day when you appreciate your love for someone else. It may be a different day for you. I know in Canada it's a different day. No way. I believe it's the same day, but in some countries they have different days. I forget which. There's a photography shoot going on. New York is a famous place for Instagram pictures. It is anyway the city that never sleeps, especially on 42nd Street. So here's even some more businesses like a coffee shop and some vets here. there is a little bit of snow on the ground left after the big snowstorm on, well, I wouldn't call it big, it was just a snowstorm on Tuesday, I believe. But the weather is supposed to get much warmer tomorrow. I don't think I'll see any traces of snow on the floor tomorrow. Here's the Strategic Response Unit of the New York City Police Department. They respond to a lot of different emergencies, such as someone trapped in the river there. I believe suicide prevention is also handled by this unit as well. So looking up, you can see all the different buildings and architecture where people live. Over the years, after New York was needing more space, they just built higher. Of course, there are laws which limit how tall buildings can be. You can't just build all the way to, you know, the moon. I really don't know what's going on with this truck here. I think they have problems. It's very unusual for them to be blocking the crosswalk like this with the driver's side door open. To be a little bit safe, I want to cross the street a little bit away from this truck, just in case there's somebody or a vehicle who tries to filter through here. It's always a good practice to do. I can still pass here. Nothing's coming by this way. This is really bad for traffic though. Looks like the police and the authorities are already on it. I hope this truck gets the assistance they need. New York, it's very frequent to have larger vehicles blocking an entire intersection. Sometimes it's due to driver error, sometimes it's because like someone's not following the rules of the road or the signal timing is off on the traffic lights, but there are laws for blocking the intersection, but it's not really enforced that well. The city could do a much better job enforcing the laws there. Here's a public square which is open. Many of these developments, they have agreements with the city to keep their plazas open to the public, or in exchange for development, the city has to require them to have something available for the community. Sometimes that's not always the case, but it's always nice to have some green space in the city. So I'm 1 block from the Hudson River. So across the street from me, this building is the Consulate General of the People's Republic of China, on the edge of the Hudson River. And on the other side of 42nd Street is the United Nations. So kind of interesting there. Here's 12th Avenue. It's very commonly known as the West Side Highway to locals. It's always a good idea when it's a street this busy to wait for the traffic light. This West Side Highway is actually incorrectly labeled north of 72nd Street. It's properly known as the Henry Hudson Parkway. I really don't know why they're driving their vehicle with the door open like that. They should really pull over to the side and then do their business. It's very dangerous to do something like that. So as you can see, the edge of 42nd Street with the Hudson River is home to the Circle Line Sightseeing Company, and to the north of me is the USS Intrepid Museum, which used to be an active warship. Here's one of the New York Waterway buses. They're very quick on the turns here, so you have to be very careful. Even though pedestrians have right of way, it's always good to have awareness. Such as here, this is known as the Hudson River Greenway for cyclists and joggers. So here's the end of the video, and a New York water taxi is approaching the pier. These people are coming from New Jersey. You can see New Jersey off in the distance here. If you want an inexpensive way to see the city, here's the North River Lobster Company. You can enjoy a meal while this boat goes traveling through the waters of Manhattan. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video of 42nd Street from Grand Central to the Hudson River. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll see you next time.